Hello, welcome to Createful Art. Today I would love to share with you how to paint the Earth from outer space. This is such a cool painting and so relaxing to paint. I can't wait to share this relaxing moment with you. And if you haven't already and you love my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it so that you can get notified whenever I make a new video, and it helps also to support this channel so I can create more videos for you to enjoy. Let's begin with the colors that we're going to use in this painting. You will only need 5 colors to paint along. You want a primary blue color, a primary yellow, and a magenta. And then you want a white and a black. These colors will mix all the colors on our palette today. For the first color, it's just black. You can get the color mixing handout when you are a Createful Art member, and this will help you mix and match the colors we are creating today. Members also enjoy weekly art lessons, reference photos, and bonus full tutorials. So for this second color, we're going to mix our black and blue together with a little bit of magenta. Adjust those 3 colors until you see a color similar to this, which is a dark blue. Mix more of this color and then set it aside. The next color is the color we just mixed with white added to it. Adjust that color until you reach the right shade and then make more of it and set it aside. Now we're on to the next color, which is almost completely white with just a tiny bit of black in it. You'll want to make a lot of that color and set it aside. The next color, we're going to add more black to that color. Then I added just a tiny bit of blue and yellow to give it a green tint. Adjust those colors until you reach the right green you want to add to your earth. The next color we will use is a muted yellow, so I'm just going to grab my yellow and a little bit of white to lighten it. And then I will grab some magenta, and that will start to warm up that color and turn it towards the orange. I want to adjust those colors until it is the right color. Make more of that color and then set it aside. Now I'm going to make a bright orange with my yellow and my magenta. And all you need to do is adjust those 2 colors until you've reached a bright orange that looks very similar to this color. Make more of that color and set it aside. These are the only colors you'll need for this particular painting. You can also use these colors for more than this tutorial. All month long we are using the same palette. I keep my colors wet and fresh all month long in the Stay Wet palette. I put a link to that below, and then I'm ready to paint every time I sit down. You also need just a few other supplies. Those are also listed in the description, and then you are ready to start. Find a circular object that will leave about an inch on both sides of your canvas. Place your object so there's more space on the bottom, but it's equal distance from the top and left and right side, and then trace around your object with a pencil or a watercolor pencil. Make sure you keep that object nice and still so you get a nice circle. Grab your 1/2 inch flat brush and you're going to dip it in that medium blue color. Start adding that color to the top and use the edge of your brush at the edge of your circle to make the edge nice and crisp. And then the rest you can fill in. Concentrate on just filling in the top half of your circle with this color. So now I'm going to grab the lightest color. Notice I don't wash my brush. And I'm going to mix in that color with this top portion of the circle that is blue. Wipe off your brush so there's no excess color on it, and that will help you blend these 2 colors together, the dark blue and your light blue. Make sure you don't go over all of that medium blue. Now we're going to add dark blue to the bottom part of the circle. And now I will take those 2 colors and I will go over the middle part over and over, and this will blend those 2 colors together. So what I want to do is I want to keep the dark blue along the edges of the bottom and the light blue along the edges of the top, and have a mix between the middle. Continue adding the dark color to the bottom right of your circle, and then do the same thing blending in between when you get to the middle of your circle. Taking excess paint off of your brush helps the colors blend better together and creates a softer blend. Once you've made your circle look like a sphere, then you're ready to move on to the next step. Now we're going to add the black around our sphere. So you want to make sure that you follow the edge very nicely around your sphere using the edge of your brush. The rest of the canvas can be just filled with black. If you're struggling with edging your sphere, go ahead and go to a smaller flat brush. So I'm just going to go around my sphere very carefully and then fill in the rest with the black until it's a solid black on the outside. You may feel like you need to add additional layers so that your black looks more solid, and make sure that you are not seeing a whole lot of brush strokes. So I'm going to go over some of the area to get rid of some of those lines and brush strokes. And if your black is not covering well, then let the layer dry and then add another layer on top. So now you're going to grab your round object again and cover your sphere. Grab a very coarse or bristly brush or a toothbrush, and what you do is you add the lightest color, which is the white, to your brush on the very end. Dip it in your water and then dab it on your paper towel to catch any excess water. May want to add just a little bit more paint to mine. And then I pull back with my finger and let the bristles go forward. Now, the further away I am from my canvas, the further away my stars will be from each other. The closer I am to my canvas, the more concentrated the stars will be. So I just make sure I get some stars all over my canvas so that it starts looking like space. And then I remove my round object that protected my sphere from getting stars on it. Now it is time to paint our sphere so that it looks like Earth. So I'm grabbing my flat brush here, my 1/2 inch, and my white. And what I'm going to do is I'm creating the look of the glow or haziness that bounces off of the water. So notice how I have a very little amount of white on my brush, and I'm just moving that as a glaze on the middle part of my earth. Grabbing a dry brush will soak up some of that water and help me blend just a little bit better. Now I'm going to add that same thing that I just did to the left top of my sphere. I like having my filbert brush for this because it makes sure that my brush strokes are nice and round at the tips. So I'll add another little mark of white right here, in the middle a little bit up to the upper right. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the inconsistency of the earth. So I'm going to add a little bit of this blue right here because the earth does not look like a perfect sphere. So there are going to be parts of the earth that are going to have different blues and parts of the earth that are going to be lighter. So I'm following the details that I see in my picture of the earth so that I can move my sphere from looking like a plastic round ball to appear more like the earth. And I do that by following the details and creating what I see with my colors and my brush strokes. So now I'm going to edge this right upper side with white. So this is the perfect time to get out your reference photo to help you paint along. Pulling the colors around and adding different things, and notice how the earth is starting to look less like a perfect sphere and more like an indented ball of some sort. So you don't have to follow every brush stroke and get this to look perfectly the same exact as mine. You just need to have that similar look like the earth was tossed around and indented. So now I'm going to grab my round brush. It's about a size 5 or a 6. Now I'll add the white color to my brush, and I'm adding that to the top left of my earth. And it doesn't matter if you go over part of your black, because what's happening is the sun is making this edge glow so much that it appears as if the glow is coming off of the earth. So I'm picking a spot where it's bouncing off the most, and it's right there, that top left. So it's also going to have more white there. So I'm adding more of the white, and then it slowly disperses around the edge until it's just a tiny edge. And now what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of the blue on the black as a glaze. So it just barely shifts that black color to a little bit of the blue so you can see underneath it. And notice how I went over the area several times so it blends in. So I'm going to keep adding the white and the light blue to this top left corner until it pops to the level that I want it to. So this is a great time to add in your personal preferences. So now's the time to start thinking about what continents you want to be showing on your earth. Grab the gray color, and now it's time to shape out these continents. Now you can use my reference photo to help you, or you can find a reference photo online, depending on what continents you want to show. What I'm basically doing is I'm making the shape of the continent, but I am not trying to be perfect at all with it. So I'll edge the continent shape and then I'll fill it in, but there's also going to be lakes and rivers and things like that, so I don't have to get rid of all of the blue inside of my continent. Now it really depends on what angle you are looking at the earth. So some of the continents will be rather large looking, and as they go further away they become distorted and smaller. And even at different angles, the Africa is not going to look like a map Africa. It's going to be distorted and going to the right side. Following a picture may help you, but you don't have to do that. You can actually just put in some land masses and call it good, because a lot of the times the clouds are covering most of the continents, and so it just needs to look like there are continents in here. So because we don't have to be precise, let's just get in some blobs here and fill in some areas, and let's relax while we do it. So I'm going to add a little bit of orange to the deserty areas on the globe. So of course in Africa there's this desert area. So I add a little bit of the orange in some of the places on my continents. And of course, it isn't bright orange where the desert is, so I'll use the gray to settle that color down. The basic shapes are good enough. So we are looking from the earth from a very far distance, so the differences in the colors on the land is actually going to be pretty close to each other. So even where the desert is, there's a lot of the gray color mixed in with that, because it's going to be just subtle changes, and that's also going to make it look like it's more realistic. So now I have white on my brush, and we're going to put in the clouds. So see how that covered a lot? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that color around in a swirly motion, because what clouds do is they cover the land and they swirl and they swoop, and there's parts of the clouds that are going to be more see-through and parts of the clouds that are going to have more coverage. The key is to show movement, and do that by moving your brush around. Another thing is that when you reach the edges of your earth, the clouds are more concentrated and they start following the edge of the earth instead of going across the earth. Another thing I keep in mind is that there are chunks of clouds and there are pieces of clouds. Sometimes I'm just going to have like a white little dot, and other times I'm going to have quite a bit of coverage, and other times it's going to be pretty see-through. So I'm just going to focus on one little part of my earth at a time, adding clouds and adding movement in them. And I don't worry about covering a lot of my continents or ocean. Now it's time to change your painting to look the way that you want. So add in your personal preferences. Now I'm going to add in bigger and brighter stars. I use my detail brush, and I can use my white or any other of my light colors, such as my yellow or my gray, pink, or blue. I like to make my stars look like they are glowing by creating some lines in a cross shape and an X. A shooting star is rather easy to add. All you need to do is create a line, and then it's a little bit bigger on one end. Just keep working on your painting until you love it. Make sure you have added some of your own personality in there. If you're ready to improve your art skills, go ahead and grab my weekly art lessons. You also get the reference photos and bonus full tutorials to help you paint along. Thank you so much for showing up today and painting with me and taking some time for yourself to relax. I'm so proud of you for working on your skills, and I hope you are proud of yourself too. Here are some more videos that you can watch, and happy painting, my friend.